Hi, it's Gary. We're backstage at Leeds Festival with Dave from Glass Animals.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm really well, thanks. How are you?
Good. How's your Reading and Leeds going so far?
Pretty darn good. It's been amazing. Reading was chaos. There were circle pits in the slow songs, which is to be expected at Reading, I guess. And it was the birthday of our album yesterday, first birthday. So we partied a bit too hard, but it was good.
What did you get up to afterwards?
We went to see a little bit of Flouting, a little bit of Eminem, and then we were just like in the backstage bit, just getting too drunk. But it was really fun. It was good.
I mean, people seem to have been quite creative about getting past the Pineapple ban this year.
Yeah.
It's probably the most surreal sight you've seen.
The saddest sight I saw was someone tweeted a picture of a bin going into the arena where the security had just been throwing all the pineapples, a bin full of pineapples. It was so sad. It's really sad. But some people got creative. There were at least, I'd say, 5 real pineapples in the crowd, which is pretty darn good considering they were actually cracking down on like inflatable pineapples were getting chucked away. Everything was getting chucked away. But there was a lot of inflatable stuff. It was cool.
I mean, how do you think people are getting those pineapples in? What's the best way to smuggle a pineapple?
The best way is definitely to take 2 up the front of your shirt, just pretend they're your tits. That's the way.
That's good advice.
That's worked for a couple of people. I've heard some people just stick it right up the back of their shirt, some right up down the back of their pants. But those are the options.
Have you had a sort of chance to hang out with anyone? Any other artists at all?
Yeah. Loyal Kana, who I've always been a big fan of. He's been great. I watched his show yesterday, and then we hung out. We've got a football match later. And Flume's here. He's playing like right after us. So we've been hanging out a little bit. It's good vibe backstage. Nice lineup on the Enemy tent.
And how are you feeling about the Mercury Music Prize nomination as well?
It's just terrible. No, it's great. It's obviously wonderful. Like, we grew up with the Mercury Prize, and every year when the prize is announced, the shortlist is announced, we kind of go out and we get all the records and we argue about them and listen to them all. And we actually thought it was like we didn't even think about us getting shortlisted, so we'd booked a whole tour. We were meant to be in America for the ceremony and the performances and everything, and the announcement. But we had to cancel all that, and like we're rushing back now.
Well, what sort of effect has it had on the band? I mean, are you sort of citing your sets even bigger, or?
Yeah, we're all total divas now. I make big demands. Our rider's gotten very extravagant. Kittens and big bowls of cocaine, basically, yeah.
Sounds like a great backstage.
You should come.
I mean, did you put any money on yourself to win? Or
No.
place any bets?
We actually had, so before the shortlist was announced, me and Joe, our drummer, sat down and kind of thought about who was going to be actually shortlisted, and of course we weren't on the list. But my money was on Kate Tempest and Sampha and Loyal Kana actually being nominated, and Stormzy all being on the shortlist. And that was, pretty good. I should have put some money on that, really.
Definitely. I mean, the album also was inspired by real people's stories. Have any of them kind of now been in contact with you and saying, I kind of recognise myself here?
Absolutely, yeah. We have a song called Pork Soda, which is the pineapple song. And it came from a woman who I met in, It's Columbus, Ohio. And she had a tattoo of a pig, and it said Pork Soda in the middle of it. And I just said, like, that is the coolest tattoo I've ever seen. I took a photo of it, and we got a photo together. And then I wrote the song Pork Soda, and it came out like a year and a half later, and she came to one of the shows with a huge giant box full of little glass animals, like 100 of them. It was so funny, and she was like crying. It was amazing.
Awesome. I mean, have you sort of started work on new material yet? Have you thought about the next album?
Not about the next album, really. There's always stuff happening. We're always working on music and stuff and making noise, but it's festival season, so we do festivals the weekend, and then during the week I go to the studio and just make noise. But it's nice to just make some noise without the pressure of an album. It's not necessarily, there's no end goal. It's just sitting around making sounds, and it's fun, freedom.
I mean, after this sort of Mercury nomination and things, are you feeling more pressure for the next album, do you think? Or?
No, I mean, we're there's always a bit of pressure. We're on a very small label, really small label. Like I think there are 3 other artists now, and only one of them has released an album. So it's, there's pressure on us like to financially succeed, to keep the label alive. But you can't think about that when you're making the music. You just have to do something that, you find interesting and keep pushing yourselves to find new arrangements, new chord progressions, new sounds, new melody techniques, things that haven't been done before. And that's, hopefully, if you do that and you keep yourself interested, other people will be interested too. It's always been the idea.
I mean, in your new single, Agnes, you say is the most personal song you've ever written. I mean, what's it like playing it live?
It's tough. It took a bit of time. We didn't really play it live until quite recently, just because I wanted it to be totally perfect. And it's quite hard. There are only 4 of us on stage, and I hate backing tracks. It'd all be so easy if you had a backing track, but that's not the idea of live music, and I wanted to do it perfectly right. So finally, we found a way to kind of do it justice, I think. And it's tough. It's a very sad song. But there's also a kind of bit of optimism in there. And a slight kind of reflective happiness. And you have to kind of latch onto that when you're doing it live. Latch onto the optimistic side of it rather than the sad side of it.
And finally, when do you think you're going to get sick of pineapples? Is there going to be a point where you just say, I can't take any more pineapples?
I mean, it's so out of control, this pineapple stuff. But it's funny, and like seeing all of that. There were like thousands of inflatable pineapples at the show yesterday. It was people like riding them through the crowd, it was funny. It was cool. I don't know if I'll ever get sick of it. But maybe it'll doubt. Maybe we have to move on to like pomegranates or something, melons.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, and have a great festival.
Cheers. Thanks, you too.